Hi guys, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing The Gallery by Laura Marx Fitzgerald. This is a mid-grade novel and is this art history adventure mystery thing going on here. Laura Marx Fitzgerald also wrote Under the Egg, which I have also read and reviewed and really love her writing. I'm going to post a link to that one in the description below if you want to check that out also. The Gallery takes place in the Roaring 20s, so it's during Prohibition, it's an election year, the Jazz Age is very much in full swing, Gilded Age, tons and tons of opulence going on, lots is going on there in New York. The main character, Martha, is 12. She gets kicked out of Catholic school and her mom makes her go to work. Mrs. O'Doyle, Martha's mother, works at the Sewell mansion for this newspaper tycoon who has married a wealthy heiress named Rose. And Rose is, well, she used to be kind of the talk of the town. She would throw lavish parties, she had this massive art collection, and would love to show it off to anybody who would watch. Her father ran a railroad company, and so they have a railroad station underneath the house, which is kind of cool. So just tons and tons of opulence, really pretty things. But Rose has kind of gone crazy. And so she's kept locked up in the attic, well, technically the third floor, and kept separate from the rest of society and the rest of the house. And so Martha starts investigating what's going on with this rich lady. What kind of crazy is she, kind of thing. She's very intrigued by Rose, who is this very larger-than-life character. And we have Mr. Sewell, who's very conservative. He is all for prohibition, doesn't like alcohol or partying. He's very conservative with his money, doesn't want to speculate it too much. Although he does have money in the stock market, it's the 1920s, that's going on. But he's very serious. He doesn't entertain much, doesn't see the part of throwing lavish parties, and he has a very small household, just the minimum to keep the house and Rose all good and going. It's a very interesting family going on here. Martha's mother very much is just keeps her head down, does what she's told to do, doesn't question things. Martha's very much exploring everything, wants to know, is curious. She wants to know about the art collection that isn't on display because it's all up on the third floor with Rose. She meets the rest of the staff. We have a cook, a couple of the maids, but I think the most interesting other member of the staff is Alphonse, who is a footman who knows a lot about art history and likes to tell her stories about Greek myths. Martha's dad is also this vaudeville actor and has the skit, and he's touring the country, so he's not home. And she's got two younger brothers that she has to help take care of. They make just enough to kind of get by. And so the mystery of the mansion and what's going on is really about Rose. And what happened? Is she really crazy? Is she being held against her will? Martha's trying to figure out what's going on with Rose, trying to help Rose escape. And Rose starts sending her messages. And because she doesn't have a pen and pencil and they can't communicate because Rose is all locked up, Rose has come up with a method of sending paintings down to get across her messages. And so it's very much about what the stories behind these paintings are allusions to how Rose is feeling and thinking. Martha does have means to use the dumbwaiter and stuff to send messages, and it's really cool how they get around it all and see these two who don't really meet kind of communicating with each other. And to also see Martha's grand schemes of how to get Rose out of the house and free her. Martha does some digging into Rose's past, and we get to find out the very eccentric things that Rose was doing before she got married, as an heiress trying to spend all her money and just having a good time. The first chapter of this book is kind of weird because it's set in 2016, and we have a newspaper person trying to interview Martha about what happened in the 1920s, trying to dig the story out of her. I saw this old article, but it's still a mystery. You want to tell me what happened with this giant fire that started? And it sets up the story well, but it's also not as entertaining, so definitely get through that first chapter. There's also kind of this, not an epilogue or afterword, but kind of an appendix to the end of this book, where the writer talks about the historical stuff, like which paintings she actually used and where you can where they're being shown in real life. So if you wanted to see it, you could look up these paintings. And talks about real life heiresses and actual mysteries about people being locked up in the attic. And it's kind of cool to have that to if you want to know more about it. I just love all the schemes that are going on in this book and the details that are put in here and how everything is kind of explained, so you don't have to know the stuff going into it, which is awesome. I mean, it's a children's book, so it's kind of expectation that you wouldn't know these things. So I really love The Gallery by Laura Marx Fitzgerald and definitely recommend it. Peace out. I love you guys and keep reading.